From director Steven Spielberg comes the tale of Joey, a young horse and the boy Albert who raises him in the British farmlands. But when Albert's dad is forced to sell Joey, the horse is thrown into the madness of battle.
Your father's done what he had to do, you know that.
As Albert joins the fight, the two desperately try to survive the horrors of World War I in War Horse.
David, Sean, you've just seen it. Take it away, David.
The movie had a very strong and visceral impact on me. This is a war movie. It's called War Horse, and it's about World War I. And the most amazing thing that I found about this movie is that it's the same old story that we've heard many times before. It's about a young boy who goes off to war, very innocent, loses his innocence, but instead of it being a human boy, it's about a horse.
When I left the theater, I actually kind of liked this movie. And the more and more I thought about it, as I was left with it, the less and less I liked it. And I think that the main reason that that's the case is it's problematic to have a movie that's told from the point of view of a horse. You don't get an emotional connection with the horse that you would from a human.
What happened for me is that I'm projecting my emotions onto what the horse is experiencing and how he is interacting with the humans in his life.
Show a close-up of a horse and then cut to something, and then you basically perceive that the horse is feeling an emotion.
Right.
But you don't see it in the horse's face or the horse's eyes. You don't feel sadness. You don't feel loss or regret. You're basically just thinking that that's what the horse is feeling. So I don't really think that there's much of a real conflict in this movie.
I disagree with you. There's a number of times in the movie that I felt that the horse was in real peril, and I wondered if he was going to die.
But my question is then, what is this film rated? What can we expect from the conflict of war? Is this a Saving Private Ryan, or is it something more sanitized?
Definitely not.
It's not Saving Private Ryan. It's rated PG-13. It's not a movie that shows you the visceral horrors that occurred in World War I. I mean, there's a certain degree of All Quiet on the Western Front here, where you sort of are with the soldiers in the trenches and you're kind of feeling the conditions.
Right.
But there's no visceral battle sequences. There's one battle sequence in this movie, but you actually don't see anyone physically
You see a lot of the
harmed.
aftermath.
Yes.
You see the enormous amount of human carnage that goes on in this movie, mirrored by the enormous amount of animal carnage that goes on. The horses that are slaughtered in this film as part of the battles.
It doesn't sound like much of a holiday movie.
It's not a family film.
Definitely
I think
not.
it's definitely a film that's basically out there to try and win Oscars.
Oscar bait.
It's Oscar bait to the letter, but I don't think it's going to really garner a whole lot. Mainly the problem is this is not an actor's movie.
With that said, and I don't mean to sound facetious, this is the greatest acting job by an animal I have ever seen on screen. I believe that he also mirrors many of the human characters who start out, especially Albert, the young boy, who starts out very innocent and ends up much like the horse.
If you stack this film alongside other films with horses, Seabiscuit, National Velvet, The Black Stallion, those films all followed a human protagonist that formed a relationship with the horse. So if you felt something for the horse, it was because you felt the emotion of the human character falling in love with the horse, having a partner with the horse.
Right.
Here you've just got the horse, so you can't form the connection with the horse without the human perspective, and I just don't think it's clear here. I think it's too often shoved to the sidelines.
Okay, and I disagree with you. I think that you had a number of different human protagonists that had their moments with the horse, short or as long as they might be.
He's not a dog. He's just puzzling it through. Will you look at you?
I think on a technical level, the film succeeds. I just think it fails from a story standpoint because the human characters are lacking. And I think this has been a problem for Steven Spielberg in a lot of his more recent efforts. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was certainly one that fans were not satisfied by at all for various reasons. Spielberg fans will appreciate this film certainly more than that one.
Absolutely.
But this doesn't reach, the levels of greatness that we saw from Spielberg back in his early years.
And Albert, the boy who raises Joey, you don't think he's enough of a human at the forefront?
He's on screen for about 30 minutes.
No, it's more than that. Come on.
I think if you count it on a stopwatch, you'd probably be surprised. I think it feels like more than it actually is.
Well, I think that's all she wrote, so go ahead and take your tickets.
This is clearly a Spielberg film, and I think fans will enjoy it on that level, but you don't form an emotional connection that I think is enough to recommend this film fully. So I have to say stream it.
I made an emotional connection with the horse and all the people that moved in and out of his life. So I definitely feel that this movie is worth the price of a ticket. See it.
Well, looks like that's 1.5 tickets for Warhorse, which is a see it.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to Steven.
Can we hurry up? Because I got to go see A Man About a Horse.